So Sagaraga Reset is an anime I've been really looking forward to. I mean, we got David production, a time loop mechanic. I mean, the story just seemed rather interesting. We got a good studio backing it. What's not to love? And as I was watching the new episodes that came out today, I took a look on Reddit to see what were people thinking of this episode because I hadn't gotten around to watching it. And I saw a very negative backlash, and it got me rather worried. People were saying it just didn't look good, it was boring, the dialogue was dry, the voice acting wasn't anything good, and everyone was like, this was a horrible first episode. And that got me worried. So I went in this episode expecting an average episode because I didn't want to keep my hopes that high because of what I was hearing. And after watching the first episode, it's clear as day this is going to be a series that probably I'm going to really love and everyone else hates, or at least the vocal internet. Last season it was Chaos Child, and I feel like this is going to be it. Now I haven't really took a look at other reviewers to see if they're positive or not with this, but based on just people who go on forums and things like that, I saw a really negative reaction and I really liked this first episode. Now granted, the complaints I saw, I don't completely say are unjustified, as I can understand why some would feel the way they are, but for myself, I really liked it, and let me explain why I really enjoyed this first episode. The series overall, if you have no idea what this is, you haven't watched the episode yet, what it is we have a city, where in the city, over half of the population have some sort of ability. It's just a common thing. Some people are special, some aren't. The thing is if you ever leave the town, you forget you have the ability, essentially meaning you don't have your ability anymore. And more or less, we have two central main characters, one of which, his ability is he can remember things. And so far, that really hasn't done much for him, except he has a really good memory. But there's this other character, this female, who has the ability that she can reset time up to 3 days, but she has these restrictions. One, she pretty much can save. Like, there's this point in time where she decides this might be a good spot, she pretty much has this ability to save. She says save. And if she wants, if she says reset, she resets back to that time. She doesn't erase anything that happens, it's just like a rewind. You rewind a movie, that's all that's happening, but herself included, no one can actually remember anything that's happened, except for the main character who has the ability to remember things. So you can kind of see how their abilities are going to work together. If they wanted to go through crime or there's this trouble, she can save, reset, he will remember what happened so he can fix the problem. The thing with it is she doesn't trust him, she doesn't want to work together. But she has these restrictions, like she can't reset more than once within a 24-hour period, so she can only do it twice. There's a lot of restrictions, but they clearly outline her abilities as well as just the overall idea. But people were rather bored, I guess, by the dialogue and how everything feels very normal. Despite it having this supernatural setting with these characters having abilities, overall, like even visually, it just feels normal. They don't go above or beyond, and like I will admit, the face details are rather boring. They don't go extraordinary, but I do think it works in its favor. I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if it went better in future episodes. I mean, this is going to be a 24 episode series, so granted they are going to have to stretch their production schedules and everything like that to get this working, so they're going to have to take shortcuts somewhere. But because this feels like everything's so natural, yes, half the population has these powers, but it feels like just a normal thing. Some people have abilities, some don't, and most of the time the abilities just aren't useful. And in doing so, having this very normal art style, which I will say the character models, they feel very different. Like, they're a lot more rounded in terms of some of the faces, which I actually really enjoyed. The backgrounds are nothing extraordinary, but they get the job done. Distant shots are bad, like they're very poorly detailed, but the overall presentation, it feels so normal, like they're not trying to go extraordinary, which I do expect in future episodes when something really supernatural happens. It is going to shift and really make it kind of jaw-dropping or at least special. But just having it set in the school, sometimes we're in the park, sometimes we're at this other guy's house, it just feels like you're filming someone, normal kids just having conversations. Granted, some of the stuff they're talking about you wouldn't typically hear in a high school setting. But I think the just kind of, you can call it a boring art style. It matches, and I don't want this to sound like a criticism, because I actually like it, like a boring setting, but it has an intriguing plot line wrapped around that boringness, if that makes sense. Because just even with how the episode ends, is it literally ends with one of the main guys like talking to this little girl, and he says, hey, this girl died 7 years ago, so who are you? So obviously she is this fake, which gets hinted at earlier in the episode as she says that her mother doesn't love her as she's a fake, and the girl just has no idea what that means, which we now understand. But there is this sense of just down-to-earth realism surrounded by this mystery and supernatural element, and that had me intrigued the entire way through. Like, the dialogue itself, it didn't feel like we were trying to go explosive, it didn't feel like we were trying to go insane. The most insane aspect was the very end when he just straight up asked her, who the hell are you, because this girl's dead. And I was like, okay, that's really setting up episode 2 nicely, making me really want to watch next week's episode. But just overall, like, I can kind of see where people are coming from with the dialogue. Is it so different from other first episodes of the season or even from last season? But I really was intrigued by it. I thought just the overall concept, they really laid out the groundwork for this town, I thought, really well. We didn't explore the town much, but we did get an idea of what this town is capable of, what the powers are, how this could really link up to future arcs and character development and just things like that. And to me, it really got me invested. Like, this is probably my least favorite first episode of the season, but I am as happy as I wanted to be. Like, going into this series, before I saw the negative backlash, I was really looking forward to this. I love time loop mechanics. It's one of my, if not my favorite mechanic in storytelling. And this is doing something really cool. I like how it's almost like a video game. You're saving in checkpoints and things like that. But I don't know. I really like it. I actually like the kind of artistic design choice they went for. Despite it being boring, it kind of just makes it feel like a more down-to-earth series, not trying to be anime, flashy, moe faces, things like that. I mean, granted, I do think they need a bit more expression on the faces, but I was fine with the voice acting, and just overall, I actually really like this first episode. It's gonna be interesting to see where it goes, as I've heard some people say this might be like 8 story arcs or something like that, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be adapting the full story, and people who have read the source material really like it. I really enjoyed this first episode. I mean, maybe everyone in the comment section will be like, I agree, I don't understand the backlash, or maybe everyone's gonna disagree with me. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I had a series like this, but hey, I enjoyed this first episode. I'm definitely gonna be reviewing episode 2, and if this is a series everyone on the internet hates, well, I guess I'll be the one bit of positivity surrounding this series. But I really enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But for anyone who watched this episode, did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just okay? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Before you leave, hit that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.